right, to CDEC, who I think played the best Dota that we saw all day today, where they were just perfect execution in terms of getting in and out of engagements as 5. And that's what's really been the problem spot for IG. They've been very hesitant to commit, and they've overstayed once they have.
To me right now, like when you first pick SF Dazzle, it's most likely going to be a push strat. You're most likely going to group up behind your SF with mech, that gets a very early mech because he's Radiant and the Dazzle sustain. So it's going to be a 5-man, you know, like heavy teamfight lineup that wants to push towers and secure objectives very early on. Roshan could be one of them. If they could go into a slaughter, it would be a very classic lineup that has been around many times in this patch as well. And to me, it doesn't seem like MVP Hot 6 right now is really approaching the game that way. They pick Bloodseeker, which is fine, but he's not the best, you know, team fighter at all. Yeah. And they're banning Broodmother. To me, it doesn't seem like they understand that IG might want to go for this. And we also said it earlier, it's one of their go-to strategies, just group up as 5 and force the issue quite early.
No, I mean, what you said, by the way, about the Shadow Fiend is absolutely correct. Mushi is credited with inventing Mech Shadow Fiend, but Ferrari has certainly perfected that build. He's actually one of the 3 best mech builders in this patch. He's one of only 3 players to build it more than 20 times, and 15 of those were on SF. He really is great at compromising between using the Shadow Fiend as an early presence in team fights and pushes and still keeping up that ridiculous rate of farm.
Spirit Breaker.
Yeah, I mean, he's also a very flashy player to look at. When you think about mechanical skill, if that, you know, if you just think those 2 words, Ferrari is one of the names that pop into your mind. He's just a phenomenal player, and I look forward to seeing his Shadow Fiend performance.
Yeah, so this is most likely going to be a Luo offlane Spirit Breaker. This is a pick that they've gone to in the past, and again, you know, I've said this stat in the past that really IG, they live and die by Luo's performance as much as I think any team in Pro Dota 2. If you can have a good game on this hero, I think they've got this locked up.
Yeah, definitely.
I really like Hot 6's bans with the Broodmother. I mean, Brood is going to slip through, but you really don't want to let it through in a best of 1. And Undying is, I think, just fits really well with IG's strategy, especially combined with the Shadow Fiend and Dazzle. It leads to a really scary early game, and Bloodseeker can't really, you know, go man mode against.
Undying was a great ban, definitely. Like, that works into what Matt said about pushing as 5. So the Brood ban is maybe a little bit off, but could also have been dangerous. But Undying for sure not something you want to go up against here.
By the way, this pick also leads me to believe that this might be a core lean and a safe lane Bloodseeker. Jerax is their primary Earthshaker player. He's excellent on the hero, has just really, really solid assist totals, 11.5 assists per game.
He's the type of player that's basically always where he has to be. You know, he's that type of support. You can always expect him to be where the action is. He's really good at reading what's going to happen.
Good understanding of the map in general. Just, you know, map awareness is very high for him. This game, I think a lot of weight is on the Spirit Breaker to initiate, though. Like, you're saying this is a 5-man sort of push with the Shadow Fiend and Dazzle, which I definitely believe as well. But they kind of rely on Spirit Breaker to find the initiation. Because look at the D-push that exists. You have Fissure, you have Bloodright, you have Dragon Slave. If you don't kill, you're not going to get in on the towers.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also, whenever you run a pushing lineup, you want to have initiation potential. Else you're just sitting there, you know, eating nukes or getting harassed until there's actually an option for the enemy to just go and actually team wipe you. So
I think you guys are dead on, and it makes me worry a little bit that what we were commenting about the players and some of the problems may apply to the draft as well. You know, when you look at these 4 heroes, they're 4 heroes that we know that these individual players can play really well. But the question is the synergy there, especially against what MVP Hot 6 is bringing to the table?
I think it's a bit scary. I would really love to see a Slaughter in that draft. It's also a hero Burning has played, and he actually won many games with it. But yeah, I think Slaughter fits perfectly. It brings initiation. It's going to make Shadow Fiend even more scary.
I think other teams have also run it, either in scrims or just in some group stage match that I must have missed. Because when you see Shadow Fiend and Dazzle, plenty of the teams will 5th ban the Slaughter.
Yeah,
they always go towards that.
Yeah. For many reasons, like obviously the minus armor reduction is a thing. It's also Slaughter is not the best laner, and Dazzle really helps him to be more like really stronger in the lane, and he gives him killing potential.
Yeah.
Resident Zeus expert on the panel. Is this a core Zeus, or are we going to see a 4 position?
I think Core Zeus, but it's, combination with the Bloodseeker. Zeus's win rate is actually terrible in the group stage. It was like 1-6 at some point. And, I mean, of course, some of it is Glimmercake to blame, but at the same time, I don't actually really know what's terribly wrong with the hero.
Yeah, I actually thought Zeus Bloodseeker was going to be a pocket strat that more teams would pull out. But yeah, we just really haven't seen it. And when we've seen Zeus, he hasn't had a lot of success. I do think Glimmercape is a big part of the explanation here. I feel like IG, the Slardar pick was a really, really good suggestion. It's an underrated aspect of Burning. That Burning actually had some games on Brewmaster. He can play those initiating type heroes.
He's really good at this.
He definitely can.
For sure. And he's good at fighting farm. And those heroes, you need someone that's experienced, that's going to know when to farm, when to go into a fight. And because the problem with unexperienced players on Slaughter or Brewmaster is that they keep on fighting when they probably shouldn't, or looking for openings, and they just fall behind.
Yeah. Just to confirm the Zeus pick, by the way, this is the 9th time in group stages have been picked. Currently has a win rate of 12.5%.
Impressive.
Hot 6 did play it at the core, but that was versus, I think, EG's Ember Spirit. And what EG did was just kind of wait until they had BKBs and massive items and then just killed them, which, again, is MVP's weakness.
I did witness that game where Zeus actually won. It was an amazing amount of bursts, and the poor Ember, who was rushing Manta style, did not get anything done. That was one of the most painful games from the group stage. I want to ask you, Merlini, in this current patch, which position would you rather see Zeus on? Because he's a pretty flexible hero.
I think he has trouble seeking high ground, and that definitely makes him much more risky as a core. But I mean, people have been tending for the safer builds like Bloodstone, so you do shore up for the late game. But I mean, I think it's much safer to run him as a support. But I think he can work very well in a core if you have a very aggressive lineup and have good high ground siege.
Yeah, and I'm actually kind of glad to see this. That we can talk about putting Burning on a Brewmaster, we can talk about putting Burning on a Slaughter, but you know what? It wouldn't be Burning if he wasn't on some kind of hard farming hero. And I actually like the new incarnation of PL as a kind of a compromise between a hero that obviously benefits a lot from farm, but he can fight very, very well with the drum and diffusal.
You just want to see Burning break some records in farm. Admit it now.
Guilty, man. I love Burning in my stats. I mean, we saw an 8-0-0 game from him on his AM in the group stage. What else do you want from a Burning AM?
Yeah. All right. That's a surprising pick, the THD. It's most likely going to be support. If we said that Shaker was a support and Zeus was a core, it could be offlane as well.
Okay, time for our final game of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Let's find out who the 4th and final team are to advance through to the next round in the lower bracket. It also means we're going to lose one more, sadly, as we go down to 12. It's back over to the commentators for our final game of the night.
That's right, a team is going to be out of TI after this. As the hour approaches midnight here, Blitz in Seattle, I see the crowd. It's thinning out a little bit, but you know what that means, Blitz? It means we only have the most hardcore Dota fans still here. The people who live and breathe Dota. Let's hear some noise for the last elimination match of the night.
Let's also hear it for the 4th best casting combo in Dota 2, excluding Toby Wong.
Thank you.
Not as much cheers for that, but MVP Hot 6 versus Invictus Gaming. So excited about this IG, a team that when they got Burning, I thought they were just stacked from top to bottom. And MVP Hot 6, I mean, I've played against all these guys, and yes, they were impressive to me, but never did I think they would come this far.
Second MVP team fighting to stay alive in the International. Already an impressive storyline from MVP Phoenix being able to make it through. MVP Hot 6, though, I think are probably facing up against one of the toughest teams in the lower bracket, if not the toughest team. IG, as you said, looks so incredibly stacked going into this International. And a team that I actually expected to, at the very least, make upper bracket, but couldn't quite make it through the group stage in order to claim that position, are now potentially out in their very first game of the main event.
Honestly, it just feels like IG aren't always on the same page. It kind of feels like they play 4-man Dota. It never really feels like Burning is on the same page as the rest of his team. At times, it feels like Ferrari takes a little bit too much of a risk in the mid lane, but I mean, this is still an incredibly talented team, and MVP Hot 6, MVP Phoenix actually had the option between choosing who they wanted to play against, and they actually took Newbie over their sister squad. And when I asked March about it, he just said, it's a really strong team. We really feel like this is a team, if they live up to their potential.
Most analysts even. What exactly is their biggest strength?
I think it's just their team play and their trust in one another. That's what I get from the Koreans at all times. It's that despite what happens, maybe they're not the most individually talented, they listen as one unit. They're willing to trust each other. It's that ride or die mentality. You don't care if you're going to go down, you're all going to go down in the same ship, the same strategy, and I mean, they're willing to risk it all in this Bloodseeker Lina that they've been running successfully in the qualifiers. They just seem to be saying to themselves, okay, it doesn't really matter. This is our chance, best of one. Let's use what we're comfortable with.
Now, looking at the draft MVP Hot 6, it seems to be that they are going to have to be rather aggressive here. Maybe not necessarily early on in the laning phase, but definitely going into the mid-game. There's no way you want to be going up against a Phantom Lancer in the late game, especially with the heroes you're rocking now. I mean, you were talking about it earlier. You said that you really felt like Phantom Lancer had no equal when you started going late game.
Yeah, I think we saw it demonstrated in that LGD series against Empire, where Empire had some fantastic lead. They had plenty of heroes that could deal with the Phantom Lancer, but when it comes to late game, it doesn't matter what wave clear you have, what battle furies you have, what Mjolnirs you have. It doesn't really matter because the hero will just outlast you, outfight you, outmaneuver you, and the fact that he constantly has a slow up, the fact that he can constantly doppelwalk makes it so hard for you to fight against him, but might be a fight here is
early level 1 fight. Luo already pushing back against Jarek. They're going to try and battle over that bounding rune. MP actually dropping very low already. They need a couple more right clicks. Fate really gunning for it. Needs a little bit more. The lance comes out, but it's still not enough. He's going to survive with just a sliver of HP. Oh, he's got to go to stop Luo. Light Strike Array actually lands on him. He keeps the health potion alive. Now he's stuck. He's on the wrong side of the picture on that one. And the team MVP Hot 6 start running him down. And that Light Strike Array landed. And